it's in there, but it's not reported. Visceral fat's not reported. Fatty infiltrates isn't reported. Fat around the heart isn't reported. And the reason is it's not taught to physicians in medical school. And so you might ask, well, if Sean O'Mara, Dr. O'Mara thinks this is so important and it's not taught in medical school, it can't be. Wrong. It's not taught in medical school because medical school is a system that's set up to make some scratch for Big Pharma. Big Pharma sets the curriculum of what is taught in medical school. Ever thought about what is taught in medical schools? They're not going to teach anything that really reverses disease and improves the quality of life of people. We can reverse chronic disease easily, very achievable. I have a $1.2 million grant from the National Science Foundation proving that we can reverse chronic disease. And those interventions are basically just living a healthy lifestyle, eating a healthy diet, exercise in a certain way, being resilient, making sure you decrease, chronic stress, these kind of basic things, and you'll vanquish visceral fat and vanquish chronic disease from your body. But the compromise to the curriculum in medical schools is so great, influenced by Big Pharma and even health insurance industry that make a huge amount of money. The bottom line is the largest part of our economy, Casey, is healthcare. It's bigger than Amazon. It's bigger than IT. It's bigger than oil. It's bigger than energy. Literally healthcare. And over 90% of that is treating chronic disease, which is entirely preventable. So literally the world's largest problem is what people are making money off of perpetuating. It's completely preventable. And I say it's the world's and humanity's largest problem because nothing else, if you're listening today, nothing else decreases human productivity more than chronic disease. Nothing reduces the quality of life more than chronic disease. Nothing reduces the productivity of commerce more than chronic disease and employees. Nothing costs us more than chronic disease. And nothing kills more human beings globally than chronic disease. And if you're listening today and you've heard that for the first time, ask yourself, why in the heck have I never heard that? And why isn't that being discussed?
That is bananas. I've been in this world for long enough to know that that's the case. But I love how you concluded that by saying, if you've never heard that message before, it's going to blow your mind. The medical system is designed to keep you sick and alive. I want to make you diabetic at age 20 and keep you alive until age 90 so I can feed you pills and procedures that whole time. Is that correct?
No, that's exactly it. And if you're listening today and that seems kind of crazy, well, let me ask you what your experience is, listener. Think about all the people that are older than you in your life. Or if you're already older, think about yourself and your colleagues or whatever, family members. And here's what happened as they start going to doctors, their bag of pills start growing, more and more medications. And oh, by the way, they start performing less. They start aching more, and they start accumulating more chronic disease. Well, let me ask you, why in the world do we consumers tolerate a segment of service to consumers that just is horrible? You just go and you get worse. I mean, we would keep taking our car to the automobile, garage maintenance service if they just kept destroying the car, making it worse and making more money. No, or the same thing with any other consumer-based service or product. If it was just every time you went, you slowly got worse and worse, we wouldn't put up with it. But the medical industry has foisted upon us, and I think they're exploiting in part the preference, I call it like almost a lazy gene, of people wanting shortcuts. And they'll take a shortcut rather than walking the long way that's better to take a pill because they're blinded to all those side effects and problems and the accumulation of chronic disease. But your goal should be every year of my life, I get better. So I will posit to you and your audience that literally, as you get older and more gray hair, you become better performing. You become better living. And I know it's a radical concept, but people tend to believe that they're at their best in their 20s. Wrong answer. For 4 million years, the highest performers were gray-haired men and women because they did not have chronic disease and they had the accumulated knowledge and skill sets to perform exceptionally well. We see a tiny glimmer of this in high performers like Tom Brady. Now, he may not have the gray hair that I have, but he has dedicated himself to becoming more healthy. You know, you could argue some of the things with some of the things he does and doesn't do, but he is high performing and he's older. So if you're listening today, the future, I believe, is an awareness of the biomarkers and biometrics that are available to us that we can follow to eradicate chronic disease, and the accumulated knowledge of life experience, how to live better so that we perform better, live better, and that should be what is attractive to people. But today we value youth. The youth don't know because they're too young. And if you're a 40, 50-year-old soccer mom that's overweight, you're going to some 20-something personal trainer or health coach, you're not going to get better because their ideas about being better are based on a 20-year-old's experience. You got to follow very, very fit, very, very high-performing older people with gray hair whose appearance and performance validate that they know how to live well. So I define health based on two metrics. Health equals mathematically an expression of how you appear and how you perform. And that is the base of the level of health that you have. Your capacity for imparting that knowledge is really predicated on experience. So as you get older, you'll become more effective. So the most effective influencers of the future will be gray-haired, very attractive, very high-performing older men and women, as it was for 4 million years until processed foods came along, when we started planting grains and consuming them. And so now older people look terrible. And why do the young people not follow the older people? Because they look terrible and they perform terrible. When I was younger, you know, a young man, like say 5, 6, 7 years of age, older people weren't so riddled with chronic disease, not as bad as they are today. Obesity skyrocketing, but they were still bad, and we respected the elderly, you know, more than we do today. Today, nobody visits the elderly. They sit in, you know, nursing homes, senior care centers. The door opens, every face turns to the door to see if it's somebody coming to visit them. Very, very sad situations. And the older people can't impart knowledge the way they used to because their face and their body says, pay no attention to me. I don't know how to live well. I haven't lived well. But you want to be a better influencer. And if you're, you know, on Instagram, you're in social media, and you want to be an ultimate influencer for longer, then you better maintain your health by having a better appearance. And I'm not talking makeup, because that's only going to work for so long. You also need to have high performance, and all the makeup in the world and clothing is not going to help you perform better. So you have to figure out how you live, lifestyle choices. And that's why I really like social media in your space and what people are doing to help bring attention and awareness that it's all about lifestyle choices to influence how healthy you are.
Wow. So I just read an article about Instagram face. So people using different filters or getting different plastic surgery to basically combine all the best features of like a bunch of different races to make this like perfect like Instagram face. And it's like, that's so ridiculous. When I look at you, I look at Sean Baker, I look at Brad Kearns, I look at Dr. Wiedemann. These people are like 50s, 60s. You know, Mark Sisson, he's paddling his paddleboard in the ocean around France and enjoying life. Dr. Wiedemann is doing cartwheels on the beach. Like, these people are not just like, you know, slowly being more decrepit over time. They're thriving. They're in their best years. And I think for myself, I'm 38. I feel the best that I've ever felt now. I look forward to aging. I would not go back to my 20s or early 30s at all. You guys are amazing examples. And if you look at people who live and eat in this certain way, that's what happens. They reverse age, it seems. Especially when you compare it to the delta of everybody else who is just like completely going down the tank. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, really, really, really good points. In fact, on that, if you asked all those individuals that you just mentioned, how long do you want to live? They're going to say 130, 150. If they could, live that long, they'd want to say that. But if you ask the average 50-year-old and 60-year-old, how long do you want to live? Or you tell them, I can work with you and get you to live to be 130. And I've done this every day, all day long for years. And kind of a practice, a primary care practice where patients would come in, I would routinely say that to them. This is how they'd respond. Oh, no, I don't want to live that long. The reason is the misery factor, okay? As chronic disease besets your life, you become miserable and you're not happy. Your quality of life has reduced your outlook and hope for the future. The message I like to impart is to the vast majority of people listening right now, if you live properly, make the life better lifestyle, informed choices, your best years are literally ahead of you. And once you get people to understand that, start living that way, they improve their quality of life. Then they don't shudder at the notion of living to be 130 or 150 years of age. I don't know how long will people live, but the most important thing to me is not so much longevity, but quality of life. And that's starting to get more attention. But quality of life really is predicated upon the amount of disease that one person or a person tolerates. The system is potentiated, set up to encourage disease because it's highly profitable. It's the largest part of our economy, as we said earlier.